Imagine living your life believing the worst thing you ever did was survive. Imagine building a new name, a new routine, a new future, while a secret sits somewhere in a dark storage room, sealed inside a cardboard box no one has touched in 15 years. And then imagine that box being opened. Because some truths don't stay buried. They wait. The call came just after sunrise. She was standing in her kitchen, bare feet on cold pile, waiting for the coffee to finish brewing. The house was quiet except for the low hum of the refrigerator and the ticking clock above the sink. The voice on the other end of the line was calm, polite, almost apologetic. They asked her to come down to the station, just to answer a few questions. She knew immediately. Her hand tightened around the phone, and for the first time in 15 years, the past came rushing back. Not as memory, but as weight. Heavy, pressing, inescapable. She had lived free for so long that freedom felt permanent. But freedom, like truth, is fragile. Years earlier, before anyone talked about boxes or evidence or reopened files, she lived a life that looked ordinary from the outside. She was dependable, organized, the kind of woman people trusted without question. She worked a steady job, showed up early, stayed late, paid her bills on time. Friends described her as calm, practical, almost invisible in her reliability. Her marriage fit that description too. It wasn't passionate, but it was stable, predictable. The kind of partnership built on routine rather than romance. Shared meals, shared expenses, quiet evenings on the couch. No raised voices, no broken doors. To the world, it was safe. But safety can hide rot. The cracks didn't arrive all at once. They never do. They arrived as silences that lasted a little too long, as questions that were never answered directly, as financial worries brushed off with vague reassurances, as phone calls taken in other rooms, as a growing sense that something important was being kept just out of sight. She noticed. She always noticed. But she told herself what people always tell themselves, that it wasn't worth blowing up a life over feelings that couldn't be proven. Until the night she found the paperwork. It was a single folder tucked behind old insurance documents in a filing cabinet they both used. Inside were bank statements she had never seen, accounts she didn't recognize, withdrawals she couldn't explain. More than money was missing. Trust was gone. When she confronted him, he didn't deny it. He minimized it, said it was temporary, said it was necessary, said she wouldn't understand. That was the moment something shifted inside her. Not anger, clarity. What happened next wasn't loud. There was no shouting, no neighbors calling police, no dramatic escalation. Just two people in a room with a truth that could no longer exist quietly. The confrontation lasted longer than expected. Words were said that could not be taken back. Accusations that cut deeper than threats ever could. By the time it was over, one person would never leave that room alive, and the other would walk away believing she had no choice. The scene was discovered the next morning. Investigators arrived to a story that fit just well enough. No forced entry, no obvious signs of struggle, a narrative that leaned heavily on self-defense, on fear, on a moment that spiraled out of control. Evidence was collected, statements were taken, photos were snapped and filed away. And then slowly, the case lost momentum. Witnesses were limited, the story remained consistent. The physical evidence didn't contradict it strongly enough to push harder. Eventually, the box was sealed, and she walked free. Time passed the way it always does, unevenly. She moved, changed jobs, changed her hair, changed the way she introduced herself. The life she built afterward was quieter, smaller, intentionally controlled. She avoided deep connections, avoided conflict, avoided situations that asked too many questions. At night, sleep came in fragments. Dreams replayed moments she refused to think about during the day. She told herself she wasn't hiding, just protecting the life she had earned. She believed the system had decided. She believed the past was settled. She was wrong. It was reopened by accident. A routine audit, a new set of eyes, a younger investigator assigned to cold cases who didn't know which files were supposed to stay closed.
Inside the box were photographs that had never been fully analyzed, a statement that didn't quite align with the timeline, a piece of physical evidence logged incorrectly years earlier. Small things. Enough things. The story that once fit neatly began to fray. When she sat in that interview room again, 15 years older, the questions sounded different, more precise, more informed. She answered the same way she always had, but this time the room didn't feel neutral. It felt patient, like it already knew the truth and was simply waiting for her to catch up. When they placed the new evidence on the table, she stared at it longer than she should have, because she recognized it immediately. The arrest didn't make headlines at first. Old cases rarely do. But for her, the impact was immediate. Her job suspended her pending investigation. Friends pulled back, unsure what to say. Neighbors looked at her differently, like they suddenly knew they didn't know her at all. In court, the story sounded smaller than it had in her head for years, less justified, less inevitable. The jury didn't see 15 years of survival. They saw one night, and they returned a verdict. Prison is loud in ways people don't talk about. Metal, voices, movement, the constant awareness of other lives pressed too close. But the loudest moments were internal. She had time now, time to replay every decision, time to question whether she had truly believed her own version of events or whether she had just repeated it long enough to feel real. Justice had finally arrived, but it didn't feel clean. Some people said it was long overdue. Others said it was cruel to punish someone so far removed from the moment. Both sides believed they were right. And maybe that's the truth about cases like this. There is no ending that feels whole, no outcome that restores what was lost, only consequences delayed. So, what do you think? Was this justice finally catching up, or a life destroyed by the same night? Share your thoughts below. This story is inspired by real events, with names and identifying details changed.